Hey, so what's up everybody? Dr. Craig Engstrom here, but you can just call me Craig because I'm an easygoing kind of guy and we're all just trying to do our best as professionals. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some strategies that you can use to find some free resources when studying for the CPTD or the Certified Professional in Talent Development examination or the APTD, Associate Professional in Talent Development. Essentially, the resources would be the same. You would just be focusing on different, criteria for each exam. And clearly in the APTD, you would probably need to procure fewer resources. So that's what this video is about. It comes to you because I've had a few people reach out to me recently asking if there are free resources. So I thought, hey, let me just do a video. It's been a while since I've done a CPTD, APTD, ATD video. So here we go. Let's get started. So first things first, before I dive into the resources, I just want to say there will be timestamps, so jump to whatever is going to be most valuable to you. And I think there's a few things that I just want to lay out at the get-go. So the first thing is, when approaching these examinations, you need to really trust your experience. I've been on the examination writing board, or the group that does that. I've also been on the exam review board, so those that go through the questions and modify or strike questions. And really the goal is to write questions that anybody with a degree of experience could answer. So it's not a test to test your ability to recall keywords or definitions. It's not a test to test your test-taking abilities. It really is designed to say if you have a certain amount of experience in talent development, then you should be able to pass the examination. However, there are going to be obviously some skills or gaps that you need to focus on. So another thing to do is definitely consider becoming a member of the ATD, because this is your community, right? And you're going to learn a lot from just engaging with other talent development professionals, especially if you're at like a smaller company. So I just want to really emphasize being a member. And while you can utilize free resources on the talent development website, td.org, definitely having a membership is going to give you a lot of resources, as we will see here momentarily. Another thing is, you want to think about, when you're studying, filling gaps, not studying everything. So while I think the TD Book or Book of Knowledge is a great resource, it's not something that you have to read cover to cover. It definitely is something that you probably don't even need, again, because this examination really should be testing your time on the job. And so what you want to do is identify those areas where you may not test as well, and there's a ton of free resources already on the td.org website for these, and I'll look at those during this video. And so whatever areas you feel like you need to fill in, that's where you should focus your time, and then also just trust yourself while taking the test. With that said, I do think one other area to really focus on: models, lists, and levels. What I mean by this is, when you're thinking about things like Kirkpatrick has 4 levels, so you want to know what those levels are and then think about how you apply those in your day-to-day work. So think about it again from the point of view of those of us who helped write the examination, because the exam is really written by the subject matter experts, those who have the credential already, who are working in organizations. So what this means is that when we are looking at writing questions, we're going to base it on some kind of pragmatic application. And that's really what the test design company and the Talent Association for Talent Development really wants to be testing, right? They want to be able to show that the people who hold this credential have the capabilities, have the competencies. They don't have just a bank of knowledge. They know how to apply that knowledge. Now, with that said, we're given resources for developing the questions. So naturally, you're probably going through your day-to-day activities using Kirkpatrick's 4 levels. You might not be thinking about them, but for example, with level 1 and reaction, you just naturally, probably when you do a training, you ask people for an immediate reaction. And so again, you might not label it that way, but knowing what the 4 levels are and then how each of those levels are applied in practice will definitely help you out. So it does maybe give language as you're studying to things you're already doing, which I think is helpful. And it's not about, again, cramming for those theories, but just kind of learning maybe some theories you're already using and giving a name to them. And I think if you really kind of just study the models that are out there, the lists that are out there, and the various levels that have been designed, and kind of learn those and add them to your database of information, your vocabulary, you're going to be golden. So that's kind of my upfront information about, just some things about the exam. And then based on this, what are some free resources that you can utilize? Because maybe you don't want to pay for a couple $1,000 prep course. Maybe you don't even want to buy the TD Bach, which is a couple $100. And you're really just looking for free resources, including some free examination materials. And there's actually a couple resources that kind of fit in that category that I'll show you in the video. So I think I'm going to give you about 5 resources, and again, timestamps will be there for you. The resources will be the td.org website, flashcards, and some websites that are out there, a certification handbook, the CPLP practice exam, which is available on the ATD website, and then finally a library. If you have a library that has books or can get books for you, that's going to provide you a lot of free resources, as well as just like Google Books or even Amazon's like free previews are just some strategies you can use to get information without necessarily paying for it. What you're paying for it is in terms of your time. All right, so check this out. I think the first thing that you need to do is look at td.org as a great free resource. You don't even have to log in, and they give just tons of content. In fact, as a member of several different professional organizations, I really feel like I get the most value for my money from ATD. But even if you're not a member, you get a lot of blogs, and I think the blogs are the best resource for studying, in my humble opinion. I use them a lot in my studies for the CPTD exam, and I think that anyone, whether you're doing APTD or CPD, will find the website very useful. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I really think joining ATD is going to give you access, and while you're not going to necessarily have these as free resources, you will definitely have great resources that then become free and have a really good return on investment from membership. For example, access to TD at Work, the access to the micro courses. Hey, these are great for studying. And of course, you don't have unlimited time, but I found these to be very valuable resources when I was studying for the CPTD. So that's what I'd have to say about that. Now, another thing that you would probably want to look into, and if you just sort of Google or use Bing to search and just type in Flashcards CPTD exam, Flashcards APTD, or whatever, a combination of that. You can also look for Quizlets is one of them. But anyway, it'll bring up a lot of things. Now, if you're taking the exam at this point, there's actually a lot out there. I've found several communities. When we were taking the exam as the first group going through it, none of this existed. So you actually get advantage, a lot of advantage taking it now. So you can see there's like 380 cards here. And I actually think this is just really good. And these are free. You might have to sign up or log in to get them, but you can see people are definitely creating these. And this just creates a really nice way to kind of study and kind of add to your bank of information those lists that I was talking about and some definitions and just words to put to what you're doing. Another really great resource is websites. So I put this in the category of flashcards as well. But there are a couple of folks that have created websites that have a lot of information about their journey and how they studied, and then just as a natural outcome of this, really provide you models, lists, and all of those things that I was telling you about at the beginning. So this was from Kara Reed. Definitely check that out. So if you go to resources and CPTD study tips, you will see that there are a ton of just in organization days. So my journey of studying for the exam back in 2020. And again, here you're going to find links out to a variety of resources, just like you would on Kara's. Okay, and then on the ATD area where you're going to prepare for the CPTD, again, I'll put the links to these 2 pages. One is for active candidates and one is for just thinking about prep. And I would actually go through and look at everything that they have linked to. So there's like the planning guide, there's some sample questions. These are all free resources for you to draw upon. Specifically on the active candidate page, there's like the certification handbook, the planning guide. Certification handbook has just a ton of information in it, has some practice questions, gives you really useful information, but they also have the reading list. So somewhere on here, yeah, reading reference list, you click on that, but you can see there's just a lot of useful information. That's just another reading list, but there's a guide for those that might want to set up some groups and so forth. And again, just offers really useful information in there. And I would recommend considering setting up study groups, definitely using LinkedIn, the group chats and so forth to ask questions and learn and study together. That's always a good strategy. And again, costs nothing. So another really great free resource that you can find, and it's going to be, I think here on this page, it's going to be, yep, the CPLP Legacy Exam. If you go and download that, you will see that there are like just tons of questions, 200 questions to go through. And while, again, these are likely to be retired, you can get a sense and a feel. And to be honest, like, again, having been a member of the group writing questions and reviewing questions, you're going to see a lot of sort of repeat type of things. Like there will definitely be questions on job aids, just for an example. So as long as you kind of know that, definitely on synchronous and asynchronous, Kirkpatrick's levels that I mentioned, Hofstede or Hofstede, however you pronounce it, the cultural dimensions model, looking at the Kilman-Thomas conflict model, which has the 5 sort of groupings of collaboration, competition, and so forth. And knowing those pieces of information will be helpful. Again, it's not about memorizing all of that content as much as thinking about how to, apply it. But anyway, there's just a ton of questions here that's free and a great way to start testing your knowledge and building up a database and then figuring out what you need to study more of and then focusing on that. And then there was that reading list, like I said, and these are going to be generally pointing you to the resources that might cost, like, say, $20. But here's a little tip for you. Google these, because oftentimes you will find that Google Books has, and that's the book that we were just looking at, just look at how many pages are just visible here and free, and there's a list for you. So being transparent, influencing your team. Anyway, I'd read those sort of bullet points. I just kind of skimmed through this looking for thing. I saw some bold letter, see why the faces model. So I was like, okay, what's the faces model? I could now Google that and come up with that. And that's kind of what I did in my study journey, and I believe that's what Kara did in hers. Oh, and I should mention, not only is Google a great place, but especially if you're in the United States, I don't know how other countries might operate, but if you go to your local library, they probably can get you some of these books, even if it's through an interlibrary loan. So if you wanted to get access to this book, chances are some library has it, and you could get it if you are a member of your local public library. So again, the resources are td.org website, some kind of flashcard websites or multiple of those. Definitely want to check out the free resources that are provided by the ATD organization, especially here and that certification handbook, not the TD book, but just the handbook with lots of information there. Definitely want to check out the CPLP legacy exam questions, and again, search for books and find them in either your library or Google Books or some other website like Amazon with their free preview. Okay, so I hope that you found that walkthrough of some resources particularly helpful. Share with us resources that you find along your journey. Be sure to engage in the LinkedIn communities and the various things that ATD offers for those of you that are studying for the certification examination. And reach out to me anytime. I'm always happy to help. The best way to kind of keep up to date with what I'm doing is to go ahead and follow me here on LinkedIn, or even connect with me, and also follow my YouTube channel. While I'll be presenting mostly things related to ATD, CPTD, professional development here on LinkedIn, I will definitely be also posting these to my YouTube channel, but there I'm primarily focused and interested on presentation. So with that said, I do hope that you found this video, and until the next one, I do hope that you have a wonderful day.